Now, you might have seen other demos where we were showing some of the earlier phases of the game, things like the cell phase or the creature phase where you're evolving. I'm going to drop into one of the later stages of the game, the civilization phase here. Now, this is post-tribal. At this point, you're basically capturing and controlling cities and building up a global civilization and interacting with other civilizations around you. We have different strategies you can employ. We have diplomatic, religious, and military. And through combinations of these strategies, you're basically trying to unify the entire planet. And so here is one of my home cities right here. You can see this little map down here. Each one of these little kind of cities represents one of my cities of my nation. I have kind of this tan nation here. So at this point in the game, we're seeing things like trade routes. That's kind of what these are here. These are two nations trading. We actually can transition the entire planet. In the earlier phases of the game, I was actually evolving on the surface of this planet as I was playing the game. And as you progress every level, you actually kind of move out further and further. And it's kind of interesting just to kind of see how things change here. Now, this is one of my cities under attack. Now, this is a religious city. So I can build vehicles in this city here. In the vehicle editor. I'm going to build a very quick land vehicle. I can either browse what the players have made and pick one of those, or I can create my own, which I'm going to do. The vehicle editor works very much like the creature editor. Basically, we have these kind of component parts that we can drag out. These parts have a lot of different morph handles. So each one of these shapes represents a very wide variety of things. And the parts I put on this vehicle will actually influence its behavior. Things like how fast it is, kind of what its attack power is, its health, etc. So like the creature editor, in a few clicks here, I can kind of make something strange looking. Of course, we need jet engines. Everything needs jet engines. And to give this thing more religious power, I basically have to give it the ability to kind of broadcast my religious beliefs. So I'll put these little megaphones on it. And now we're actually seeing the stats over here change. So if I put a few more megaphones, I'll have a little more power here to broadcast my religious message to my opponents here. There we go. And in the vehicle editor, we have this idea of intelligent materials. So with one click, I can paint the entire thing. And it kind of has an understanding of where things like the windows should be, the wheels, etc. If I wanted to, I could actually go down in each individual region of this thing and paint it very accurately. But as soon as I'm ready, I can basically save this thing and bring it into the world. And now I can build these things in the city. Now, this is, again, a religious city. So as I build vehicles here, I'm going to send them off to a nearby competitor and try to capture them with my kind of religious coercion here. So I basically targeted that city right there, and as I do so, my vehicles will move over there. Once they get in range, depending on how unhappy the citizens are in that city, I'll have various levels of success. Basically, my guys will start broadcasting up here. And so this is my guy basically broadcasting his religious propaganda into the city. They're trying to defend against it. And so if I was playing military, I would actually be flying military vehicles sitting over there to attack the city. If we go and actually zoom in. Now everything at this level is something that I created one of the editors of the game. I was able to create these creatures, the buildings in their city, as well as the entire city. And here we are running them very, very slowly. I'm going to basically cheat here. There we go. Now, what I'm trying to do with the civilization phase is I'm basically trying to unify the entire planet. Again, it can be aggressively. There's kind of I can play aggressively or very socially. If I play aggressively and I capture a city, I end up blowing most of it up in the process of capturing it. So I have to spend a lot of time rebuilding things. So we actually have kind of a lot of consequences to everything you do in the game. In fact, the game is keeping a running kind of history of everything I do. This is what we call a global timeline. I can go all the way back here to the very beginning of my game, and this is way back at the cell level. And this is actually showing every generation I went through of cell, places where I died, new parts I collected, what I ate. I was actually transitioning across this dimension in cell game. Depending on what I ate, I either come out of cell game as either herbivore, omnivore, or carnivore. Then I was in creature game, and so proceeding through, I was doing things like brain upgrades, I was making allies with other creatures, collecting parts. So basically, this is a complete visual history. And at every level, depending on where the slider is set, so I came out of creature very social. It's actually putting cards up here at the top. So in some sense, I'm programming the cultural personality of my species as I play through every level of the game. And as I get further through the game, I'm actually getting a more elaborate personality. We wanted to have kind of these elaborate backstories. almost like the Vulcans in Star Trek, where they had a very warlike kind of history, but eventually they became very logical and very kind of reasonable. And so we want to have almost these schizophrenic-like personalities available as well. This is the civilization phase, and depending on what you do in every phase is actually setting that slider. So coming out of the civilization phase, we've now come out as industrious or economic. Oh, that was actually tribal phase, and so that's how that card got set. Now, at this level of the game, we're actually at the end of the civilization level, and we're ready to transition to the space level. Once I've achieved that goal, I've actually unified the planet here by cheating. I can actually advance to space. It shows me the timeline, what I did in the last level. And at this point, I actually see my kind of NASA pop out of my city. And this is where we go in and we actually build our very first UFO. So I start the space phase by going into the next level editor, which is the UFO editor, where I can design my spaceship that I'm going to play the next level game with. So loading up the UFO editor here, I'm going to just throw in a really quick little UFO. And let's put it on. And again, it's kind of amazing just with like a few mouse clicks how you can create something pretty elaborate. And use blinky lights. We need lots of blinky lights. Blinky lights are cool. And let's get some spotlights on the front. And let's do a quick paint job. And so again, in a couple minutes, you've made something unique and interesting. And now let's give it a name and save it. Now, our civilization is going to launch the UFO. Now, at this point in the game, I'm actually leaving my home planet for the very first time and able to actually go to other planets and other star systems. Now, again, at every level of the game, we're actually pollinating content from the players. You'll see right here, this is an achievement. It's actually looking at things that I do in the game and earning certain achievements to me on the player level, like we've seen in other games. We also have a mission-based structure. So at the space game, there are a lot of missions that are going to be either by my home civilization or by other alien civilizations. So here's our little celebration, our UFO being launched. They're happy about it. Now, we can actually fly this thing around. We can actually pull out, and for the first time, get a really good sense of our entire planet here. And I'm going to